Well, your writing's definitely one of a kind. There's not a lot of people that have what you have.
That's a compliment.
Well, I was going to say, for influences, where do you go to really get those influences?
There have been several. Dorothy Parker's a huge influence. My favorite romance author was Georgette Hare. The Grand Sophie was my favorite. This is why I called Sophie and Welcome to Temptation Sophie. But there are a lot of, romance novels in general have saved me so many times. You know, they're so positive and they reinforce that strong women win. So romances in general, love Susan Elizabeth Phillips, love Lonnie Diane Rich, love, who will be writing as Lucy March, by the way, so look out for Lucy March. Anne Stewart, there's Patricia Gaffney, you know, there's just so many. And there was also a book I read when I was a kid called Greenest Spring, which was a YA. It's been out of print forever. And I look back at that and I think Franny Gay in that book was probably the model for all the Crusie heroes. You know, I connected so strongly to Franny Gay. She was just so sturdy and doing the best she could, and all this stuff happened to her and she just pick herself up and go on. I love Franny Gay. So Greenest Spring was probably the moment. But not for writing. I didn't start writing until I was 41.
Well, that's really unusual. A lot of people say they were born writers.
Yeah, I was not a born
life.
writer. No. And it's actually not that unusual for women. I think for a lot of women, your 20s and your 30s, getting married, you're battling your career, you're raising kids. There just isn't any time to sit and stare into space and think up stories. But once you hit your 40s, your kids are self-sufficient. I mean, mine was 16 by then, and she could find her own socks. So if I had to say, I'm writing, go away. It wasn't horrible like it would be with a 3-year-old. So that, I had a lot more space, and I also just knew a lot more. I finally had something to say at 41 because of everything that had gone before. And it's been great. You never really know how to write. You learn with each book, and you try to get better, but every book is different. Every book comes at you from a different way. So it's not like you ever go, oh yeah, now I know how to do this.
Well, I was reading Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell recently.
Yes.
And he came to the conclusion that it takes to be truly great at anything the 10,000 hour mark. And once you hit that 10,000, you're now a professional.
I'm not sure how you do that with a writer. What are you counting? All those hours you were staring into space, do you count? But yeah, there is something where you lose something in the beginning before I knew what I was doing. I think the fiction, which would have been Here, I think that was the third book I wrote. There's an energy there, and you don't know all the things you're going to have to do to shape it. So the fiction's a lot more formless, and it's not as tight, and it's not as technically good, but you're still throwing yourself at it. And after 20 books, you turn around and kind of go, okay, now I know this has to be in place for this to work and everything, and you lose a little bit of the energy, I think. It's not quite as new again, but the books become so much tighter and so much better and so much easier to read because you know where you're going. And I think it's one of the things a reader knows instinctively, which is, am I in good hands? Am I in the hands of somebody who's not going to run off the road here? And that after a certain point, they can tell just by the shape of the first couple chapters, okay, there's a path here, we're going someplace, we're walking, it's going to be okay, and you can relax into the book more, rather than try to fight your way out of something where I was kind of heading over this way, and then I went there, and then I went there, but we got to the end, and it's, it's a different...
Nothing but good times ahead.
Nothing but good times ahead. Absolutely.